Hello and welcome back to the channel for another College Day review. Today I'll be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Rise of the Beasts SS-107 Scorponok. It's a pretty cool release. Of course, this figure, the scorpion things in the battle did not transform in the movie, but it was cool representation for Hasbro to integrate transformation to this guy. I got this from All Time Toy Star. Check out the link in the description below to get yours. So before we take a look at the figure, the box does of course include the display base, which this is actually not an accurate picture for where we see Scorponok. We see them in the final battle scene. But there you go, nice calm brew scene for your evil Scorponok. But then here is the box, cool artwork of it on the front. Believe we didn't actually see them in purple. I think in the movie they're like a green color or something, but here it is in purple. So there you go, that is the box. You do of course get instructions as well. Pretty simple transformation, easy to follow, not much to it, but nonetheless. Of course, always nice to get some well-printed instructions. And here is Scorponok in his robot mode, which of course, again, we never saw in the movie, but I think it's a cool conceptualized design. You can see face sculpt there. It is, of course, just the scorpion head that's just now been repurposed as a robot head. There you go. Some cool gold on the chest there. And then right now his scorpion tail is plugged into his arm. So it just slots in, the hand just slots in there, and then there you just have a 5mm peg and port connection there. And if you don't want him to wield his tail, which actually I think looks kind of cool, you can see nice detailing on the tail as well. Reminds me a lot of the Bayverse Shockwave in its coloring, but you can just port the tail back onto where it goes for beast mode, and I think that is an equally good looking design. There you have some nice silver details and stuff throughout. This guy actually does have some nice paint and plastic blend. Looks good. There's the back. You can position some of these legs. So you can angle these ones more inwards if you would like. You can pull these ones outward on a separate hinge there. If you want to pose them differently than the rest of the legs, you could do that. And then you also have this rotational piece there as well. So you can maneuver those, of course, and same thing with the tail. You have a bit of an articulation point there at the top. Doesn't really wiggle all that much, but a little bit. And then you get this joint down here, another joint here. So decent range of motion out of those joints. For the main figure, articulation, the head does look up just that far, and if you use the transformation hinge, you have looking very far up. It does rotate a little bit. The way it's designed, the ball joint's a little bit strange, so he doesn't really look left to right. But so good enough, though. I would say good enough. The shoulders do hinge up like that, but then you don't really have a butterfly. No butterfly. But you do get full rotation, no problem. This hinge reminds me of the Optimus Prime hinge that's kind of just clawing his face. But it does also have a bicep rotation, double jointed elbow for transformation, which is nice. And a ball joint at the wrist, so move all around and hinge there as well. You do have waist rotation, which only goes to about there due to the scorpion back, but still far enough. Now the hip joints are very tight on my figure. Some of the, I don't really like the tolerances on a lot of the joints on this guy. Most of them are a little too tight for my liking. They feel kind of like a KO, I'm not gonna lie. But so you can kick up to there. You can kick back to here. Can kick out to the side to there. You can see that they're very stiff for such a little figure. Full rotation there at the knee, 90-degree bend, and then you kind of have like this toe articulation on a ball joint so you can rock and move up and down. So overall, articulation-wise, he's pretty good. His joints don't feel the greatest. He definitely feels on the cheaper side for a deluxe figure. It would have been nice if this guy was a little lower in price point, honestly, for what you're getting. Don't feel like he's like a super amazing figure, especially in comparison to the rest of the Rise of the Beast line. It's a little bit disappointing to see this guy in Wheeljack kind of take a plummet after some of the other amazing figures we've gotten in this line. But Wheeljack, Mirage, and this guy have not been the greatest. But if you're trying to collect the movie line, I think he definitely looks good. It's definitely still a fun figure. And transformation is very easy. But before we get into that, just some comparisons for you. Here is Prime. This is the KO of SS-102. Normal scaled though, so that is SS-102, and here is Wheeljack. Just reviewed him, and also I've reviewed tons of versions of this mold, the official, this KO, and a bigger upscaled KO, so that is your size comparison. And yeah, definitely a smaller bot, but I think that's pretty accurate to what we see in the movie. So now for transformation, very simple, but still kind of cool. So just hinge that head up. So now you have the scorpion head all set. Then detach the waist here and hinge this panel upwards. Now we can come to the shoulders and the arms here, rotate inwards, and now we're going to use that double joint. But first, make sure this wrist is swiveled because these hands are going to get a groove inside of that claw. And so it all should just make sure the elbows shifted all the way up, and it should just sit in like that. And then there's a whole bunch of double hinge joints on the inside here. Just want to pull all of them out, and that will give him his scorpion claws. So same thing on this side. I kind of liked how the arms stored here. I thought that was a clever way to kind of blend the hands and stuff into the scorpion mode. And hinge all that out. Next we come to the legs here. You just want to collapse all this inwards. And then we have tab slot connection on the inside here. So big tab on the back of this leg goes into this slot right there. So just make sure this is sitting all the way inside. And then that should tab in with a little bit of angle to it. I also want to untab these now just to give yourself some clearance. So untab the shin pieces, which also I find do not tab in that well in robot mode. They tend to want to come undone a little bit, but they're not too annoying. So all that should come out like that. And then there are some tab slot kind of connections on the bottom here. Just kind of press it in place until it does kind of click in. Then here you want to rotate at this ball joint. And then we get a tab slot connection on the inside of the leg here. That should just snap in. And there you have one of the rear scorpion legs. Same thing on this side, rotate around, snap in, and then bring the feet down. And final touches here, of course, you just angle these legs however you want and bring them down like that. Same thing on this side and bring them down. And here you have Scorponok in his Scorpion Beast mode. And I think it looks pretty cool. Definitely some nice detailing here. A lot of Bayverse inspiration with like the turbines in the claws and everything. But I think it looks really good. Looks really cool. And he does stand, no problem. You can pose these back legs a little bit. There's the ball joint at the top and then the ball joint at the bottom. And then like I showed earlier, there's the main articulation hinge here. But then this leg also has its own separate hinge, and this is also on its own hinge. So if you wanted some other poses, you could pull those off as well. And then you also have the swivel. Sorry, these joints are tight. They have like click ratchets, but works nicely. Doesn't feel like you're gonna break anything, but you also have the swivel here on this leg, so you can adjust that one however you want. And then the claws have lots of points of articulation, so you can pose those as you please as well. And then the head, of course, same articulation as robot mode, up and down. And you can put it down if you want to. You can leave it up. No swivel, again, because of the design. And then the tail, of course, all the same articulation. So for comparison again, just bring it back in. Unfortunately, I don't have Primal or any of my other bots with me right now. These are the only two, now 3 Rise of the Beast characters that I have here right now. But just for some scale, there you go. And I think this scale actually works really well, especially with, you know, Wheeljack and in the robot mode to beast mode sizing, I think is very good. So if you enjoyed this review and want to pick this guy up, check out All Time Toy Store and leave a like and subscribe on the channel if you have not already. Really appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.